Start with grade 1, moving on to grade 4. If I want to improve T1-2 rotation right, I'm going to do exactly what I just did. My thumb between 1 and 2. I'm going to go to the accessory range of 1, 2 until motion just starts to arrive. I do by grade 1, 30 to 60 seconds through the head, small amplitude, early range. Grade 2, keep my contact just to the left side of the interspinous of 1, 2. Go to the beginning of the range, and then my mob is mid-range and back. Large amplitude. I'm not going into the resistance. So these are good. 1s and 2s are good for high to moderate reactivity because I'm not challenging anything. I'm not going to aggravate anything because I'm not challenging or stressing. Okay, now the reactivity starts to drop, and I want to start to actually make some mechanical changes. So I'm going to go to a grade 3 and a grade 4. So what is different? If I keep my thumb in between 1 and 2, and now I go to the end of range into the resistance where there's stiffness, what is 2 going to do? 2 is going to rotate on what? Grade. So is that going to be a 1-2 technique or a 2-3 technique? I want it to be a 1-2 technique. So what must be done to T2? Got to stabilize it or block it. Right. So I'm going to now change from an interspinous contact to an SP contact. I'm going to be on the left side of the spinous process of 2, and I'm going to block it. So now, when I go down to the to 1, 2, and I go to the resistance where she's stiff, 2 can't move. So it's going to be a 1-2 technique, large amplitude from mid-range to end, 30 to 60 seconds, large amplitude. Now if I want to really, so someone can say, well, I'm looking at the literature and it seems to suggest that you need to be at the resistance and hold it there for 30 or more seconds. Great. We can do that with our grade 4. So now I block 2, and I go to the end against the resistance, against the restrictive barrier, and I add a little bit of small amplitude motion at the barrier. Why would it be more effective to oscillate at the barrier than just to go to the barrier and hold it there for 30 seconds? What does that do? Why does that make that a better technique? Exactly. So we're introducing some proprioceptive input. So it's similar to the dentist taking your cheek and shaking it, and then they give you the shot. You don't feel the shot because it's interfering with the nociceptive input. So proprioceptive is one side of the seesaw, right? And nociceptive is the other side. You guys know about seesaw? It's like a bygone era, right? Anyway, we grew up on it, like the old playground. So if the proprioceptive goes up, right, the nociceptive goes down. The nociceptive goes up, the proprioceptive. That's one of the areas, that's one of the reasons why there's a proprioceptive problem in people with chronic neck and back pain, because they have a lot of pain coming into the central nervous system, which is blocking the proprioceptive. So they're lacking this sensory motor connection, and they're lacking reflex control of the segment. They become clinically unstable. So we've got to get the proprioceptive input going. That's really the rage right now. It's all about proprioception and kinesthesia and position sense. So exactly, it's gating. So it's like a TENS unit. When I take your finger and go all the way to the back with the extension of your index and just hold it there. If you really crank on it, in about 20 seconds, it's going to bother you. Now oscillate it and crank on it. And you don't feel it. You can keep going because you're blocking the pain. It's a whole big neurochemical explanation, but it's a gating mechanism, closing the gate. So I like it. So you go to the end, and then you block 2, and you oscillate at the barrier. So that really is 30 seconds or more with a little superimposed oscillation. So that works great. Now, here's a little trick I'm going to tell you about. We're going to use it here. We're going to use it in the mid and lower thoracic. If I take this technique down to 3-4, let's say. So now I'm blocking 4. Look at her neck rotation. You see how far she has to rotate to get there? On this side, I'm blocking 4. Look at that motion. I don't like that motion because the neck, especially in the lower segments, its platform is a very stable thoracic spine. It tends to become hypermobile, especially in the lower segments. So I like the phrase protect the neck whenever we can. So I'm going to do something to protect the neck. I want to go to the right at 3-4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get on 4 on the left, and I'm going to take her not to the right. So watch. I want to go to the right. I want to go to the right, but I want to protect the neck. So I'm blocking 4. So I'm going to go to her left. When I go to the left, and I'm at 3-4, and my thumb is on the left side of 4, what is the spinous process of 4 doing? It's going to the right. So I'm going to sneak up behind it. And I'm going to hold it to the right. And now I'm going to bring her back. And now she's at her barrier here. Saved her about 30 degrees. So here, in order to get to the barrier, she's 90 plus. She's pretty free. I get in here, I take 4 all the way to the right, and I hold it, and now that's her barrier here. So I protected the neck at end range. You see why? Because I have met the range from below up. It's not all just above down. It's above down, but also I've met her halfway. I've come from below, and I've done what's called pre-positioning the segment. I've taken 3-4 to the left, and then I get behind, I get on the left side of 4, and now I bring her back to 3-4, so I reach her 3-4 rotation right barrier sooner. So that's called pre-positioning the segment. You go the opposite way, and then you come back. And then I do my grade 4s. You got it? Okay, so let's say practice that.